It's currently Holy Week in the Christian tradition, the final week of Lent leading up to Holy Saturday. Prudent observers will be keenly aware that it's probably no coincidence a Big East school, the most Catholic conference in America, celebrated a miracle win to get to the Final Four. While it may be true that UConn is a non-Catholic school, it still makes sense when you realize Dan Hurley sees himself as a Christ-like figure. Welcome to the Moonstamp Cast. I am Jorden. I am usually joined by the "I'm so glad I'm not here this week after that" joke to my then maybe a little bit because sacrilegious Brian. I would usually ask Brian, how are you? But Brian was not able to make it this week. We wish him well. But yeah, I am all alone, which may not be a good thing considering that UH lost, which I promise I will get to. I part of me didn't want to talk about it because I don't know what there is to talk about. Nothing I am going to say will be new. Everything I will bring up will be something that someone else has brought up before. With that said, I would be a coward. Brian would come on next week and call me a coward if I didn't do that. After he came on, after Notre Dame lost, even though I came on last year, it's still probably a cowardly move not to talk about a team not making it. It kind of did ruin Friday for me. I don't think I watched the games all that closely. Not out of I'm like, oh, I fucking hate this sport. It was like, I just, your soul leaves the want leaves. Watch games of teams are gonna go make it farther. Like one of those schools was going to be in the final, or two of those schools were going to be in the Final Four. So I wasn't in love with it. All that said, welcome. We have reached the part of March Madness, which is somewhat the most fun, but also somewhat the most sad, that we only have 3 games left. I expect them both to be pretty good. I'm still considering, so I like Illinois a lot, but I also I have thoughts on Duke, or not Duke St. John's. There are thoughts there, but it's way too fast. I have thoughts on Duke, UConn. And I think that bleeds into my UConn talk, my UConn faith. I will point out my national championship is UConn, Arizona. So I have a vested interest in this because I believe I will win at least a couple of the bracket challenges I'm in, including the one against Brian, which there's 2 of us, and I don't know if it counts really all that much. I have a vested interest in making sure that UConn wins. So maybe that's clouded my, and same with Arizona, because I'm just like, Michigan, who gives a fuck? Even though Michigan is actually a very good team and has looked very good. Now, do I think their wins, yes, their win against Tennessee was big. Was Tennessee supposed to be there? Not particularly. Iowa State was in my mind, Iowa State was supposed to be there, but Iowa State played horribly against Tennessee, and they just could not shoot the ball. Okay, all that to say, Duke, UConn. I have a couple different disparate thoughts here about the game that I'm going to try to segment into each other, so it's not like a big jumbled mess. I'm trying not to free flow as much with this. One. UConn, the entire school, you're just blessed. I know I made the joke earlier about it's Holy Week and a Big East school. The women's, the reason I don't really talk about the women's this year is because, what am I going to say? UConn's going to win? That's all I can really say about the women's tournament. And with the men's tournament, I believe the stat is UConn men had never been to a Final Four and not won the national championship. I do not think they are going to win the national championship this year. As much as I think they have 2 lottery picks in their starting 5. 2? Yeah, I think it's 2. I don't think it's 3. I think it's 2. As much as it's a Dan Hurley led team, and I'll get to Dan Hurley in a second, as much as it is, there was talk back, I think it was actually, I was listening to I think it was Rico Bosco talk about the reason he chose UH over Illinois, UH to go to the Final Four was because when push comes to shove, you want the dogs in the game. You want the guys who have been tested, or will get down and then will get dirty and then will fight until the end. You don't want the guy, you don't want the team that's not going to be there. And so that leads into my other point, which was mentally Duke wasn't there. And there's other reasons actually I think Duke lost. There's actually a bigger reason I think Duke lost. But realistically, the mentality wasn't there. And I've seen no one really blame Caden Boozer all that much, right? Which I appreciate because it's not his fault. He's a symptom of a bigger problem on Duke, which again, I will go to, which is more tactics speaking and less about just mentality. I don't know how many free throws Duke missed at the end of that game. It was far too many for a team that is, it was the most chosen team in all of the ESPN March tournament bracket. Now, issues, I would say non-ball knowers there. That's my quick little hit. I don't think the ACC is that good. I think that the entire year Duke had to face, other than I think Michigan and DC, from January to March, they didn't really face anyone. I was like, wow, that's a really strong team right there. That they're going to be able to that's going to prepare them for March. The reason you talk about the Big 12, the Big 10, maybe the SEC, but at least also kind of the Big East. Though there are enough teams in that conference, in those conferences, to where once you get to March, if you're facing a team that's legitimately really good, you're not your 16 seed, not your 15, not your 14. If you're facing a team that's actually really good, and you never played them before, in a different conference, or they have a different playing style, different basketball philosophy, you realize you can beat them. They're beatable. Once you figure out there are holes. Now, do I think Daniel Hurley figured out the hole, which I'm about to speak about, which is the mentality? No, not really. There may have been other holes he mentioned, but this was just another, I don't want to say example, because there aren't maybe this is another example of a Scheyer loss, where it wasn't it wasn't that the other team won, it was that Duke lost. And I know someone's going to hear that and go, that's just wrong. Look at how UConn played that second half. I would go and say, look how UConn played that first half. Look how they went 1 for 18 from 3. Look how they just didn't seem to have it together. And that would show to me that that's more Duke losing. And Duke, to the mentality part, you miss those free throws. They look rattled. The team is I don't want to call them a bunch of pretty boy NBA lottery picks who are all going to go make their millions of dollars in the NBA, and this was just a stop along the way. And it's okay. Maybe they're the AAU top players. They're the AAU guys, which leads me into Duke was destined to lose that game. And again, I said UConn did not win, Duke lost. Not because I think UConn was not a great team, but because I think that Duke's glaringly obvious issue the entire game is that they were playing for themselves. If you watch the game, and Awful Coaching did a really good video on this. If you watch the game, no one ever switched or covered or changed their man or they'd all either go to the ball or just stay in the same place. And they were never helping. They're never switching. They're never thinking a step ahead. The basketball IQ wasn't there. Now, there's a part of me that wants to blame that on the AAU basketball philosophy of the world. I don't know if that's the case. I think once you get a year in to a program like Duke, I don't know how much, you should have some defensive philosophy behind you to back you up. And throughout the comeback, and there were and I don't want to say Awful Coaching, go watch this video, but it's a great video. If you watch the video, you see they don't think ahead at all. No one on Duke was thinking ahead. What do I do next? Where's the ball? Where's the guy I need to be making sure is not going to either get the ball or not be able to drive to the hoop or get better positioning, better spacing? Where's my assignment? Where's my next assignment going? And they just never seem to think about that. And with the Kalen Boozer throw, the reason I don't really blame him is because, one, we'll get to Jon Scheyer. There's a Jon Scheyer talk in here. And two, he should have held on to the ball. I realize probably his thought process was they're going to come for, he should have just wrapped it up and said, foul me or jump ball. And let's waste some time getting there. Is that the best option? Not really, but it's an option nonetheless, and it's about having the option. I think, and I did not see him. I only saw him say he feel like he let his brother down, and because that's the last time they're probably going to play together. I think his reasoning was, I have to get this ball in my hands because they're going to steal the ball. Is that the correct thought process? Probably not, which again goes to their mentality broke down and they weren't thinking, hey, what's the next step in this game? Where am I thinking in this game? At the same time, and I should look up the name. I totally forgot the name. The guy who was halfway down the court, you got to come back and help your guy. Give him a space to where he's not throwing the ball over his head to get to you. He's bounce passing it. He's going to the side. Someone come behind him even and say, hey, I'm here, which theoretically you could pull a Derek Jeter and just do that, but I don't think anyone was going to do that. I'm here. And they just didn't do that. And for the entire game, especially during the last runs, it was very obvious that Duke just wasn't defensively there in any capacity. Which leads me to, people have been talking, they've been, remember, no one talks about Jon Scheyer and his time at Duke. Do I think this is the end of Jon Scheyer's time at Duke? No, I'm not crazy. I don't think Jon Scheyer will be fired, at least for a while, because he has I actually was watching the 2010 One Shining Moment. It was just funny to see Jon Scheyer there in the Duke uniform, plus Draymond. It's just, I don't know. For some reason, those two don't connect to me in my mind, even though they did play at the same time. And you watch the game and you go, okay, the timeout thing at the end was disgusting. It felt very Nathaniel Hackett. And that's not a compliment, as we all know. Nathaniel Hackett is not a compliment you give to people as a derogatory comment. And he didn't use the timeout for some unknown reason. You see Kalen right there with the ball. Time. You should be by the ref. Don't let Dan Hurley come hurt the ref, because he tried to, I think. I don't really know what that was. He was either trying to kiss him, which is weird, or he's trying to intimidate him, which is also weird. But it's also, the mind of Dan Hurley is a magical place, which I don't ever. Do we remember Charlie Sheen when he was like, you couldn't survive in my mind? Everyone's like, okay, shut the fuck up, Charlie. I feel like Dan Hurley is actually the exception to that rule, where it's like, oh, he probably could. Dan Hurley's mind is an enigma. It's just weird up there. I don't know, he's a mind palace of insults and just defensive philosophy, and also how to be a great coach, but also, I mean, it's like, if you're going to be a psychopath, be a Dan Hurley. Don't be like a Paul Pot. Don't be something horrible. Maybe I should get that. Probably won't. Don't be like a horrible human being. Be a Dan Hurley. Yes, you're insane on the field. Not the field, the court. Insane on the court. You again, I don't understand what he was doing to that ref. And no one has explained to me. Dan Hurley's not explained to me, and probably won't. But be like Dan Hurley. You could be like a, supreme world leader who does evil, horrible things, or you just run a really tight offense. And really, one is cooler than the other if you think about it. If you say you can win a national championship, I would say that's cooler than being the supreme leader of Earth. I don't one, you just kind of you have to move up, but you have to be politically savvy and move up the ranks and all that jazz. To win a national championship, you have to start from the bottom, move your way up, and have a good enough team and a good enough coach to be what 6 games, and in a very short time span as well, against a really good team. I mean, depending on what your season is, against mostly good teams. Am I wrong? I don't know. Jon Scheyer. I forgot what I was saying. He's not getting fired. It would be ridiculous to fire Jon Scheyer, mostly because Jon Scheyer is somewhat unfireable. Now, if we get to the point where it's like a Tennessee, where it's like, hey, Rick Barnes, my mistake was betting on you. My bad. I think I bet on them to win against somebody. It was, I don't know, maybe not the Sweet 16. I don't remember what it was. I bet on them to beat Virginia. That's what it was. And I was worried they weren't going to, because they didn't look like they were going to for a little bit. But the game, though, the UConn game, putting aside the timeout he had that he just refused, Nathaniel Hackett it derogatorily so. He refused to use. You look at the game film and what we just talked about when it comes to the the defensive failings of Duke. How they just like no one was helping, no one was covering, no one was switching. It was a very like one-on-one. It's again, I described it as AAU basketball because it felt like that. Where like, be damned defensive strategies or defensive readiness and like basketball IQ on that front. Let's play some ball, boys. Let's play that hockey. And I do think it's actually an indictment on Jon Scheyer. Like, I said the AAU basketball comment. I imagine, even if you have freshmen you have a good amount of freshmen on the team. Once you get to March, you've had them for at least 9+ months in your control and under your tutelage. I'd imagine you'd be like pretty instilled in them. Hey, this is what you do on defense. If this is happening, let's do this. I'd imagine you run those drills and you think through it and you have them like basic philosophy. You have, despite like the fact that maybe you need to run a 10-second drill more often, which I imagine like the fact that either they never ran it is ridiculous. I refuse to believe they never ran that. I will not hear that. It is somewhat of an indictment on Jon Scheyer. And like Jon Scheyer, despite his, I want to say like, his nepotism hire. He's not really nepo hire, but Duke guy goes to Duke after being on Duke's bench for forever as the assistant coach. You start to think like, oh, well, maybe this wasn't the greatest hire in the world. Maybe Coach K got that wrong. I don't think that is fully the case. I think Jon Scheyer is probably a good coach. I do think part of me thinks that also there's a breakdown at the end because Duke's just not that mentally strong because they didn't face that this season. They were the number 1 team in the country. Everyone picked them to be national championship except for the smart people who chose Arizona. We'll get there. Hey, Monday. It's all Mondays for us, Arizonians, and also people who chose them. I don't know. I don't think Jon Scheyer is getting fired anytime soon. But I do think that next year, if we come back, we're having the same. I say we. I'm saying we're seeing. And next year, all of us come back to college basketball, and we as a collective see the same issues from Jon Scheyer's Duke. Because I need to go back and look from the past years. Like last year's game, that was also just a breakdown. So is this a pattern? Was it UNC last year as well, where it was the same thing? Is this a pattern where breakdown at the end of games, and your guys just aren't thinking defensively smart? The basketball IQ is not there. And again, once you've had them for 9 months, you can't blame like the AAU of the world or the, oh, well, they just didn't think about that. They can't, you maybe can blame that they're going to the NBA and they just don't give a shit, but that's not a good look. Really fun game. Braylon Mullins also, second best shot of all time. I think we can all agree it's second best. Chris Jenkins will forever have best. Poor UNC guy whose name I've forgotten again. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. I've forgotten again who made the shot before Jenkins, who it was objectively a better shot. Like objectively speaking, it was a better shot. But we can't call it number one because the problem is Jenkins kind of turns around and hits a game-winning buzzer beater for the national championship and just one of the cooler moments. By the way, Braylon Mullins, let's talk about it. We talk about someone maybe bad impact Steph Curry has had on basketball in that, wait with me. Everyone thinks they can be Steph Curry. Not everyone can be Steph Curry. But if you shoot enough from like 30 and 40 feet out, and it happens all the time, it's much harder in games. And this goes back to my point a second ago. 3 guys converge on the ball. 3 guys converge on the ball in the moment, leaving Mullins completely open. And like the thing with Jenkins is Jenkins was just in a good position. Mullins, it was a defensive breakdown by Duke again. And that's what I'm saying. Like, do we blame Jon Scheyer for this? And saying like, hey, you should have gone. There was only one guy needed to be there. We didn't need 3 guys there converging at the same time. And some guy had to be on Mullins. Or do we say that was just a mental breakdown? That really wasn't Shirer's fault. That was a mental breakdown. And I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know if, like, again, the entire game, I'm going to harp on this. I'm sorry, like the listeners, I've talked for about 20 minutes about how Duke's defensive breakdowns, defensive IQ just wasn't there. But it's important to realize, like, if we're going to talk about this UConn win, let's talk about the fact that it was really a Duke loss. And it annoys me because, like, Braylon Mullins, great shot. Again, number 2 shot, probably in all of March Madness history. Just awesome shot. Deep. I would almost argue one if it was allowed. I'm not, but I will. I would argue one if it was allowed. But the fact that three Duke players converged on the ball and not one single guy seemed to even make the shutter step to Mullins is crazy. And that's, again, what I'm talking about. Is this on Jon Scheyer? Because we've had 3 breakdowns in 2 years. Or is this just a mental breakdown by Duke? In that moment, when you have 2 seconds left, and you have 3 guys going for the ball, is it just instinct at that point, like bad instinct, or is it like bad coaching? And I don't know the answer to that. I'll leave that for Jon Scheyer and maybe Coach K. Coach K, I don't know. I wouldn't believe he's evil enough to come back. Final 4. Let's just talk about that real quickly. Illinois looks dangerous, don't they? Like, Ben McCollum, great job. What you did with Iowa. I think Iowa's going to come back really strong. Iowa in the next 2 to 3 years is going to be a Final Four team. And this is a hodgepodge team. This is not like a team he recruited as like a 3-year recruitment detail. This is a hodgepodge. Not nobody, but like hodgepodge team. Ben McCollum, take a bow. You're maybe the greatest basketball coach in America right now. Just given what you've done, I think Dan Hurley also gives you like a run for your money. Kelvin Sampson. I saw Purdue and thought Matt Painter. Not really Matt Painter. Maybe Tommy Lloyd. TJ Alsoberger, sorry. But like the best coach going right now who seems to get the most out of his players, no matter where his players are. Illinois, though. Is that tall? Because I feel like the Elite Eight wasn't a good test. Not because I don't think Iowa's not a good team, but because they're not the team that should have been there. And that's not me saying like they don't deserve to be there. It's like, theoretically speaking, like a 1 or like a 2 seed should be there. Or like a 1 seed should be there. And Iowa, I don't think could beat Illinois. Illinois just, they have that length. They have the guys. But UConn has some tall good dudes there. They have that tall dude whose name, again, I'm sorry, I forget. I'm bad with names. I believe UConn only because it helps my case. It helps me win things. And so I'm just going to say UConn, and I think UConn looks like the better team coming from that Duke game. If you can go 1 for 18 from 3 and just look like shit on offense, be down 19 against the number one seed, number one seed, I think you can do anything. Arizona also looks just dangerous. Like, Arizona just looks dangerous, and as much as Michigan probably is a really good team, they are a really good team. Let's not forget that. I think I put them down somewhat because they are a Big Ten team, and I have to say on message. At the same time, like, Arizona's just a good team, and I think they're going to do it. Now, come Saturday night, I could be so wrong. But I don't think I am, because I chose UConn Arizona as my national championship 2 weeks ago, and I'm sticking to it, and I think I'm right. Call me out if I'm wrong. Come back Monday. Call me stupid. I think UConn is unbeatable when they're at their best. I think Arizona is dangerous. And then the James family has literally everything. So, all right. Enough college basketball. Now I've talked my head off. Well, I actually haven't talked my head off. I have one thing to atone for, which is UH. Just bad game. It's like the ghost of UH past was they can't shoot, but they can defend. And like, I think it was the number 5 defense in America, but that's not the defense that, is UH. UH is number 1 defense. They pound you. They rock you. Don't want to say another sexual innuendos. They just they beat you over the head with their defense. And they did do that this year. Don't get me wrong. It's just the defensive efficiency, the defense we were used to just wasn't there as much. Again, that's not to say like 1v5 is not like that crazy of a jump, but still it's like a big percent change. And the problem is when you don't have if you told me we're holding Illinois to 62, was it 62? Hold on, let me check before I'm telling myself stupid. If you told me, 65, same difference. If you told me that we held them to 65, I'd be like, oh, that's a win. Like a tall team like Illinois that we just it probably can't stop in the paint that well. Even with Jojo Tugler, tell me that we held them 65, I say that's a win. But looking back, it's just you have to shoot the ball. you have to either shoot the ball or do a UConn. And UH got their UConn last year against Duke. I actually really love this was an annual tradition that one team just comes back from behind and beats Duke. That's Scheyer's legacy. It's sad. I don't think anyone expected this team to win a national championship from the beginning. I think we all agreed that before conference play, the team was going to struggle a little bit just because it lost a lot of key play. Even the key players are there. Uzan regressed a little bit. I love Sharp. Sometimes I can't stand the way he shoots. And like Kingston Flemings is a one and done. And he's still a freshman. And those are like year three. And like the thing is, despite that, I don't know what next year looks like yet because we have, I think, 6 scholarship spots and Isaiah Harwell is transferring. Despite all that, shout out to Mercy Miller for being the next All-American guard from UH. He's going to be, he's bowed his time for 2 seasons. This is his 2nd season, I think. I think I'm not crazy. As the year progressed, he's been gaining more play time. He's looked really good. Am I sad? Of course. Of course I'm sad. What fan wouldn't be? I told you, I actually, last year, I made the joke. It was not a joke. I did it. I ended up at an IHOP listening to the Eagles play very sadly after the national championship in San Antonio on the Riverwalk. And this year, I laid on the couch and watched Day in My Life with cardiothoracic surgeons until I fell asleep on the couch because I just didn't want to do anything else. Just felt shitty. Like if it had been a close game and UH had lost there, I'd be more okay. I'd be like, well, we shot horribly for literally the entire night. The big guys, we just weren't going to be able to stop them. Like the 3 7-footers or whatever Illinois had. And, then you come back to this and it's like, oh, this just sucks. It just looked embarrassing after the whole thing being able to, we're going to play in Houston. And then you play in Houston and it's like, well, cool. That was shit. I don't think we should ever play in Texas again. That's my new thing. I'm actually happy to play farther away from home. If anything, it's taught me that UH gets too comfortable in its house. It would have been really cool if it worked out, but it didn't work out. So, a couple last thoughts, and I don't want to go for too long. I could go for an hour. I'm not going to go for an hour. I have about 3 more topics I want to hit. 3. I want to just baseball in general. Baseball's back. Baseball is the most fun when it begins, not because it's like not fun other times. It's because you get to overreact amazingly in the beginning. We have 162 games. I think we have 158 left, 157 left. It's fun though in the first week to be like, oh, my team is horrible. My team sucks. When the Astros lost to the Angels, I was like, and the problem is the Astros then went and looked really good. Jordan Alvarez MVP is Lance McCullers Jr., the Cy Young Award winner for the AL. I have my thoughts on Lance McCullers Jr. I will get to those because I know Brian's listening and I know I have to talk about my thoughts and I have to pay a little bit of penance. I don't think I have to eat too much crow because it wasn't, I never said he was going to have every start was going to be bad. I will say I'm waiting for the time to happen. And the time is, and let me get to baseball though first. So I have to wet my whistle. Baseball's back. It is somewhat somber. Baseball's back. It's so much fun. Like when it's fun, it's fun. And it's one of those things you kind of have to just watch. And like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's back. At the same time, we all know what's around the corner. And that's part of like what kind of, like this feels like grief. Like we're grieving beforehand. Not that like losing a season of baseball is the worst thing to ever happen. It'll go on. Everything goes on all the time. Life goes on. There have been lockouts before. It will happen again. There's nothing new under the sun. At the same time, it's like, well, now, like, hello and hate him. Altuve probably won't get 3,000 hits unless he stays for a little bit longer. And it's going to suck. And, like, you're seeing all these things come into motion. And as much as I love the baseball's back, as much as I love watching the Astros, as much as I love just watching baseball in general, as much as I love ABS, which I will get to in a second, it is somewhat disheartening to watch this and go, well, it's going to be nice while it lasts. I do not know. I believe Fox has the World Series this year. I would hope that their last statement this year is something about, we will see you when we see you. I know I'm kind of like prematurely grieving this 2028 season of baseball. Or sorry, 2027. I've jumped ahead there. Oh, not going to want to. Hopefully, it's not just 2028 too. I know I'm temporarily grieving or prematurely grieving, but it does feel like you see the Grim Reapers at the end of the line, and he's beckoning you his way, and he's saying it's time, but you at least get to walk there first. And this feels like the walk we're having. It's beautiful. It's fun. Baseball feels special this season. It's going to be special this season. Sadly, it might be this season and then not a season next year. ABS. The musical Avenue Q has a wonderful song called Schadenfreude. And I think we all know what Schadenfreude is, which is taking pleasure in another's pain. Which, go listen to Avenue Q, great musical, really like it. I've never experienced so much Schadenfreude as, I think it was a Rosarina. Maybe. Sorry if I got that wrong. It was somebody who was literally taking off his, I was like clothes, but taking off his gear to walk to first after a strike 3. Because he's like, I'm not out. I know I'm not out. And this has to be so cathartic for MLB players to watch this happen, where for years it's been an umpire gets to screw you out of whatever you're doing, because he gives you a bad call, or a pitcher as well. But batter for sure. Because the batter, you have to have your eye. And these eyes are amazing. We're finally going to see in action what those it actually looks like to have an MLB eye, because we're getting these review calls. It's like, oh, no, it's actually like that. It's that close, but they're right. 20 calls overturned in one game. So cathartic. I hope Joe West and Angel Hernandez are at home, and I hope they know this should have been them as well. As much as I love seeing umpires get fucked for being umpires, for being bad at their job, and they're good umpires, but bad umpires are the bad umpires. It's like they ruin it for everybody. As much as I love seeing that, I do hope they know it should have been them. It should have been me when Chris Bumstead got engaged. It's the same with Angel West. Same with Angel Hernandez and Joe West, where it should have been them up there getting 25 calls overturned per game. It should have been them as national embarrassments, proof-wise. I know Angel Hernandez theoretically in court documents, it's on record that he's a shit umpire, or was a shit umpire. It should have been them. I would love to have seen the smug fucking look on Joe West's face when the 13th call was overturned, and it was pretty clear that was a striker ball. Imagine a Thursday game, 9 p.m. in Cleveland. No one's really there, and Joe West is having to look to the crowd because it's his 14th overturned strike, because it's clearly a ball, and he just hates his life and he's thinking about retirement. But he should have experienced. Actually, for the All-Star game, can we bring Joe West and Angel Hernandez just back? But only because we know they're going to get somebody wrong. And I kind of need that. As we speak through, tough times, economically, geopolitically, somewhat sportsly, if your team got knocked out of March Madness, it's very much needed that we need to have Joe West and Angel Hernandez face the music of years. They've made bad music for years, and they are getting their Grammys. They get their retirement. They got their pension. They need to have to get they have to sing the national anthem like Fergie in some sense. And that's all I want. Astros news. Lance McCullers Jr. I have talked noise about Lance McCullers Jr. for the past, I don't know, years. I think maybe since Philly, but I was tired of him before Philly, of the Philly game. Only because I hate the shtick of it all. Okay, time to eat some crow. I do still think this season is not going to go his way, and it's not really his fault. I don't think his body may take it. I say this as someone who I actually do like him as a person. He seemed like a great person. This is just sports speaking wise. I don't know if he's going to make it this season. That's why Aaron Geddes is in AAA waiting for the time when he has to be the new body part for LMJ. With that said, I'm wrong. I was wrong. That first game, he looked spectacular. 9 strikeouts. I think the more important stat there was I think 2/3 of his thrown balls were strikes. I think it was like 94 and 64, or like 97, 64, which last year, I think whenever he first started, it was like, he was doing like 1/3 strikes. He's at 2/3, which is pretty amazing. Do I hope, again, I explained this to Brian. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Lance McCullers Jr. proves me very wrong and says, you're very stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm a great pitcher. I would be happy if that were the case. I don't want to be proven correct. And that's like the beauty / pain of this whole thing, is that I don't want to be correct. I want to be wrong about Lance McCullers Jr. I want him to succeed. I just worry what happens when he doesn't. For the Astros, that is. And MVP Jorden Alvarez, who looks to be back. We have 158 games, 157 games left. We will see what time says. It's a long season. Do I think the Astros will win the World Series? Probably not. Do I hope they do? Of course I do. I love them to be. Actually, it would be very beautiful if the Astros, the team that is maybe the most hated in America, which annoys me because there's 2 other teams we should hate more. One of which hasn't won anything either, or hasn't won anything since 2000 something, 2009? No, I don't know what it was. But it hasn't won anything for a while. It's just really nice to know the Yankees are just not as good as they used to be. I keep saying, I'm not really getting to my point. It'd be nice if the Astros were the last one for like a year. And it's a 2-year thing, a 2-year cycle before the World Series. So, and as we know, half years are Mickey Mouse rings. So, last thing. Actually, I'll do 2 more things. I'll do, one last thing. Apparently, the 49ers brought a scientist out to examine the substation, say, no, everything looks good. Now, listen, I'm no scientist. I know nothing about electromagnetic theory. I took something in high school, physics. I was bad at it. I took it again for some reason because I liked it, but I didn't do well at it. I was still bad at it. I think I had like a 1 on the AP exam. Sorry, Dr. K. I screwed up your entire curve. But all that to say, it feels like, do you remember when Putin, actually not 2 years ago, maybe 6+ years ago, maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, something like that, investigated the murder that he was accused of a political rival. He found that he didn't do it. This feels a little like that. Now, do I know anything that says, do I have any special information other than the Twitter thread that says, wow, that there's something wrong? No, I don't. But I do want to believe that there is this mass conspiracy around Levi Stadium where the 49ers players are just going down in mass. It's kind of fun. Apparently, I was listening to Rich Eisen. Apparently, no free agents asked about it. Yeah, likely thing for the owner of the 49ers to say that no one's asked about it. Whatever. Actually, 2 more things. One, Mohamed Salah is leaving Liverpool. It's expected. I think anyone who didn't expect it is crazy. Do I know where he's going to go? I don't. Do I hope he goes to the MLS? Of course I would. I go to Dynamo games actually and support him. I'm not saying he'd be on the Dynamo because I know he wouldn't be on the Dynamo, but I'd go watch him. I do a very bad job watching the Dynamo. I think it's because they're in season while everything else seems to be happening. And they also, I don't know, I just don't sometimes when I go to TVs. It's hard to find. I don't have a lot of local TV stations. Back to what I was saying. Mohamed Salah is leaving Liverpool. I think everyone should have seen it coming. It was obvious. The writing was on the wall. It's the new era. The era of the Klopp era is over. It feels like everyone from that time is leaving, as they should. It's time. It's a new team, a new generation. You go GX, Generation X, And so I don't know. I don't know how to think about it, only because Mohamed Salah came in after I fell in love with Liverpool. I love Mohamed Salah. They came in after I fell in love. Like, the Firmino was maybe the first player. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. But Salah was just so good. He was so good. And he still is good, but he was so good. And maybe it's because I'm like, maybe my Pep Guardiola hate is getting to me. Maybe it's because I've gotten older. Maybe I've gotten to a different phase in my life, but where I don't like play FIFA. I don't know who all the players are anymore. Because I'm watching other sports and trying to juggle responsibilities. But, there was a time in my life where like my entire being was Liverpool. I loved Liverpool and loved watching everything about Liverpool. And Salah was part of that. And that was a big part of that. And it's somewhat like I'm thankful that he was part of such a great team and that I got to witness some really great players together. And Salah was one of them. And he was so good. I truly believe this. I don't know if I truly believe it, but like, I don't know. He may have been the third best player in the world at one point, maybe second. I don't know how much I believe it and how much it's true, but it's what I said. Last thing, and then I'll get out here. It's been 41 minutes, and I know I said I would do 30. We got to talk about Gen X guys going to the gym and doing circuits. I go to a certain gym on Tuesdays to work out at lunch at work. And the other gym I go to is smaller. My home gym is smaller. Not like in my home, but like the one I usually go to is smaller and more younger people. And it's more expensive. And I don't say that as like look how much I can afford. It's more like everyone kind of is there for the same reason. It's not like a 24-hour in LA. LA not as much, but like a 24-hour. We got to do something about Gen X guys who are clearly on TRT and balding, or they're just like, I don't know, they're just bald. They're maybe not on TRT, but they're big. You can tell they were really athletic at one point in their life, doing circuits and treating you like you're crazy whenever they're halfway across the gym and there's no indication that they're using the machine or whatever they're using. And they come over here and bitch you out because they're like, I was using that for my circuit. That's not free. Don't you know gym etiquette? It's like, well, first of all, do you know how not to take TRT? Just get up naturally. Eat some pumpkin seeds, bro. Second, circuits, don't do circuits. And you can listen, I don't hate circuits. I've never hated circuits. I don't know if I think they're good for you? Not really. I don't think they're great for muscle development. At the same time, I'm not going to yuck your yum. There's a time in my life I did hammer curls, and I don't really like hammer curls. There's a time in my life I didn't do deadlifts. Because I listened to Robert Oprah's talk about it, and since then I fucking love deadlifts. With all that said, you got these Gen X guys. I don't know who I'm talking to here, but stop doing circuits in the gym. If I see another guy doing a circuit and they get mad at me when I ask if the machine is free because he's next to it but doing another exercise, and I see him walking away, it's a courtesy I'm asking you. I'm asking you because I'm being curious, not because I'm trying to like yuck your yum. I might be like, oh, he's using it. I'm so scared. As a millennial Gen Z, I'm very scared to ask Mr. Gen X. It's like, no, I'm asking you out of courtesy. So they'll let you know I'm using this now. You don't get to do a circuit. And it's also not like it's a 1 a.m. It's a crowded time in the gym. And I see them going up to other people and stopping them. So it's always Gen X dudes, and it probably was boomers before them. Boomers now, I don't think they can get around fast enough. But the Gen X guys, the bald head, TRT Gen X guys, they all look the same too. I don't know if it's baldness. They all kind of look the same, or it's a TRT. But stop doing circuits in the gym or I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I'm asking you as a courtesy. Now it's like the bad drivers who put their blinker on or think like, oh, this is a courtesy. I'm putting this on. I'm going to get over it no matter what. It's kind of what I'm doing when you're in a circuit. If I need to use this, I'm going to get out of there in 3 minutes, max 3 minutes. I mean, 1 minute break in between. If it's an accessory lift, 1 minute break plus what the actual lift itself, which can be anywhere from depending on what you're doing, it can be anywhere from like 15 to 45 seconds. Get out of there in 3 to 5 minutes. No, and that's another thing I have a problem with. Get off your fucking phone in the gym. It's always it's the damn phone. It's always the phone. It is the phone. Get off your phone. I have a very specific time. If I'm in the gym for my lunch break, my lunch hour or whatever. I'm trying to get in and out. If you're going to sit on your phone and just diddle daddle for 3 minutes between each set, first of all, not optimal. You're not doing well. That heart rate's not getting up. You're building muscle, but you're not building your heart. The heart is a muscle. 2, it's just rude. It's that, like, there is this at my home gym. There's one fella who I hate because I'll see him and he'll do like 7 to 8 sets on whatever he's using, the machine. And between each set, I mean, I don't know what's going on that man's phone, but it's the most interesting content that he must have ever seen. It's actually the Moonstamp cast. He just does not stop looking for 5 minutes. And so, I mean, I know if I go in there, if he's on leg press, I'm not getting on leg press that night. And as much as I want to be a dick and say something, it's like, well, I don't want to right now. I'm just bored. I don't want to do that. Now, I have gone up to him and said, hey, how many sets you have left? Problem is, he always like, oh, I'm not done yet. I'm like, well, what the fuck do you want me to do? And there's no gym employee because it's not staffed half the time, which is by design. And I appreciate that. So, all that to say, Gen X guys, fucking stop doing circuits. Let's get off TRT. Do it naturally. Eat some pumpkin seeds. All right. That's all from me. I'll see you next time we talk. It'll be after the national championship. Calling now. Everyone congratulate me for my win. So thank you. All right. Brian, where can people find you? You can find me across all platforms at Aric Polaris, AURICPOLARIS. I'm streaming on Twitch, but don't know when because I don't have my schedule. I don't know why I'm using that voice, Brian. I'm so sorry. I could splice you in, but I honestly don't want to edit it. And I think you understand that. You find me across all platforms, Jordan's Thoughts on Twitter and across all platforms from Moonstamp. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and something else. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate you listening. I appreciate you listening. If you stayed this far, it's 47 minutes. Probably going to be 48 by the time this is over. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, rate, comment, whatever you can do, whatever platform you're on. We will see you after the national championship. Go Arizona. Oh, go Cats. Go Wildcats.